Hey guys, it's Mattias, and in this video I'd like to show you a solo run of a Battle Royale where I had a terrible start, I have to say. Now, after fleeing head over heels from a couple of guys that landed before me, I was able to get my hands on this AR and a shotgun, so it isn't all that bad actually. But right here I would love to have a couple of first aid kits and some more bandages. So I actually run out completely here, so during this standoff I decided to rip the only t-shirt I have in my inventory in order to craft another 2. Now, the kind of fight where you shoot at each other from range and heal up between every engagement is something I can't do right now, because I just tend to have enough to heal with. So instead I need to find an engagement where the fight ends quickly, one way or another. Now, unfortunately for me, this guy is trying to take the engagements at mid-range, and normally I have no problem with this. It's actually my preferred playstyle, but not without any first aid kits. So as I craft my last bandage here, I see the guy running into the cabin, and I decide that this is gonna have to be the last fight. And in close range engagements like this, I think it goes without saying that the shotgun is the best choice. At least in this situation where I know I have to play risky. Also pay attention to how I move when I open the door. This is how I always do it when I enter a building or a room where I know there is an enemy. And this time it worked out fine. I was really hoping that this guy would have a lot more interesting loot as well. Preferably, of course, a couple of first aid kits, but yeah, I guess I have to wait for that. Now, all of what you saw there took place in Opfer Wilderness, which was a G8, quite far from where the safe zone ended up being. And when the first safe zone was drawn up on the map, I actually was thinking about logging out, because I was way too far away from it. I knew I would end up in the gas even at the first release, which I did. I survived it just outside of Bumjik Farms, where I was able to craft another set of bandages, and just as I was healed up, I had to move again, and now I'm in the gas for the second time. So it isn't looking all that great. Now, it is quite easy to just log out and start a new match, and I have to ask you guys watching this, would you run all the way from Opfer Wilderness to Pleasant Valley and continue, even though you would know that you would end up in the gas for a considerable amount of time, and the only thing you had to heal with would be what you found on the way? In this case, you can see I've ripped my Eagle flannel vest, which I had in the beginning. I made bandages of it, which of course is what I'm planning to do with the t-shirt I'm wearing right now. That is, unless I can make enough bandages with what I can find on the way. Yes, a navy t-shirt and a blue backpack. That is 4 bandages right there. And with the 2 scraps of cloth that I have in my inventory already, I'm actually gonna be in pretty decent shape. So next up here you'll finally see the second engagement I had with another player. Now pay attention to where I put the iron sight here. I actually put it so that the tick is a bit above his head because of the bullet drop, and also the fact that I'm constantly strafing during this engagement. Now, I know that most players would stand still in that situation in order to focus on their aim, and of course that makes it a lot easier, but it also makes you an easier target. That's why I never do that. But it is especially important right now, since healing is my biggest issue. Yeah, of course I was hoping that there was a guy in the car there. And for the ones of you who don't know it, the AR doesn't do shit against cars. You need to switch to a pistol or possibly the shotgun if you're close enough. Now, there are many different strategies in order to win a battle royale, or do well at least. One of them is to hide for a long time in berry bushes. So with 8 or well 7 players remaining, I finally get my hands on a couple of first aid kits. Now, if you haven't played Battle Royale before, if you're new to H1Z1, let me just tell you that finding first aid kits is very important, but it's also quite easy once you know the general locations of where they spawn. So we're closing in on the end game, and normally this is when things starts to get interesting.
Are you playing at the moment?
I am.
Someone is waiting.
Now, unfortunately, that guy didn't have any more med kits or first aid kits, so I'm gonna have to make do with the 4 I have. And since I realized that it is bandages I have most of, I decided to start spamming them rather than to use the more valuable first aid kits. Because I'd rather have as many as possible at the very end, and yeah, the end is very near. So yeah, I think I was overleading a little bit on that target, and by leading, if you're unfamiliar with that term, it means that you're shooting ahead of a moving target in order for your bullets to connect. You're trying to calculate for your bullet's travel time, the distance to the target, and the movement speed of said target. This would of course be a lot easier if you could see the tracers, something you can do in the game Planetside 2, which is another game made by Daybreak Game Company on the same engine, the Forge Light engine. So I actually decided to turn around and get behind cover once I realized that the third guy was shooting at that guy that I was shooting as well. And the old trick, getting behind a tree in order to break line of sight. So the gas is pushing me towards this, the last player up to the north. Obviously he has a car which is below 75% condition because it's smoking. And I decided to pop my last first aid kits, take a few bandages, and of course I have to decide on what weapon based on whether or not this player is going to use the car against me or not. So yeah, the way that panned out was that the moment I heard the engine stop, I realized that he was out of the car, I switched back to the AR, and I was able to finish him off. I can't fucking believe I won that. With that start. Huh?
Yeah.
With that start.
It's usually when you have like shitty start, then you're probably gonna make it.